Hey Garth Gang, and welcome to a Path of Exile video concentrating on Heist and the new build I've been testing over the past week. Full credit goes to the TFT Discord user PixelKick in the Heist discussion channel. They supplied the original path of buildings, and I've been testing that and making some refinements and then putting the path of building together, which I finished this morning. It is, as you can see here, local time. It is the morning for me. Now, I was going to find the original path of building because I forgot to keep a copy of it. Unfortunately, I can't find the original path of building in the Heist discussion channel. It probably still is there. I just been able to find it this morning. Additionally, I'm unable to find the user PixelKick anywhere as well. It may just simply they have changed their Discord user, or they may have left TFT for whatever reason. So, but full credit still goes to them. This character was leveled in SSF Standard and then migrated over to Standard League. If you watch the previous videos on this series on my YouTube, then you'll see all the reasons why that was. I've spent approximately 10 to 15 Exalted Orbs on this character in Standard. And so if you have any currency in Standard or gear that you are not using, and you don't care about, and you'd like to donate it for future heist testing, please let me know. Comment below the video, reach out to me on Twitter or on Discord, Garth412 everywhere. I will use that gear and currency solely for the purpose of testing heist builds, and I will credit you in the future videos. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the character on the screen, and then I'll go through the path of building, and then from there we'll go into some heist contract gameplay. So the character on screen, the idea of this character is to bounce between level 68 and 69 in the Endless Heist loop. Sorry about that. And then move on to blueprint farming, which is why we're such a high level for the Endless Farm strategy. Let's go through the character. Now this ends up with a three unique item usage. So we've got the Moral Conquest, which makes us unaffected by poison. We have Winter Weave, which means the effect of chill on us is reversed. And then we have Ice Fang Orbit, which means we are chilled when we are poisoned. Non-chilled enemies you poison are chilled, and poisoned enemies you kill with hits shatter. So that's how we get there. And then we also have this lovely belt, the Alosis Delight, which turns any frenzy charges into affliction charges, and we do 8% more damage and more effect of non-damaging elements per affliction charge. It also comes with a maximum frenzy charge. So that's that. Those are the four uniques on the build. We've also got a couple of jewels on the passive tree, which I'll go through in a moment. Now the gear I'm wearing on this character has been accrued via trade. The helm and the shield were accrued, and the belt were accrued via trade. The other items I had laying around in my stash. So we've got the Moral Conquest, which houses our Blasphemy, linked to Despair, linked to our Defiance banner with a level 3 Enlighten. Our shield has casting damage taken, Molten Shell and Life Tap. Our gloves hold Haste, Grace, Determination and a second Enlighten. And our boots hold Plaguebearer, Withering Step, Life Tap and increased area effect, with our chest having Poison Concoction, Greater Multiple Projectiles, Greater Volley, Unbound Ailments, Cruelty and Life Tap. All the gems other than the two Enlightens and the Unbound Ailments were levelled on this character from gem level 1 during the campaign. As for the gear, the gloves I had laying around in my stash tabs, as were the boots. Now the boots are wrong, that should be a minimum roll of 30% move speed, I just didn't have any. and I'd already spent a lot of currency on this character, and I didn't want to spend any more, and then I had to really for this one-off test. The chest I had are in my stash as well, but it didn't have the correct rolls, so I just spammed. First of all, started spamming on Aberrant and the lightning fossils. I couldn't hit what I wanted, so I then moved to Chaos, Resistance, Essences. Still couldn't hit what I wanted, and then finally I moved on to Lightning Resist, Essences, and finally came up with Life, Lightning Resist, and an empty prefix for the craft. We then smacked that craft on there, giving us the ability to run all our auras. The amulet is an amulet I had laying around. I crafted the minimum frenzy charge on there and allocated sovereignty, which again enables us to run the auras. It's quite a lot of investment, but it works out better. If you want to self-cast Despair rather than having it linked to Blasphemy, that is certainly an option. You then can change, probably drop the one of the enlightens and then do something else with those two links. But this is the way I've done it. It works. It's brilliant, in my opinion. Onto the flasks, we have a correctly rolled Eternal Life Flask, qualityed up. I spent about 300 alteration orbs trying to get that prefix, and then beast crafted the blood immunity because I wasn't going to continue running any more alts and orgs trying to get the correct setup, and with beast crafting still being lame, in that you cannot get the top tier immunities, etc., then this is the result. We've got a Quicksilver Flask. All my Quicksilver Flasks in standard are legacy variants. This one I just happened to have on another character, so I stole it. That should be increased duration with increased movement speed, and then the roll on there is an enkindling orb, getting 90%, 100% increased duration, but no flask charges gained during use. And you use the Quicksilver when you're running out of the contract. Onto the Granite Flask. Granite Flask, during the campaign you can pick up a Granite Flask by completing Act 5 quest, and then you just start rolling it. This has got our immunity to shock. This should also be gain charges when hit, and then you can craft it using the used when charges reach full on the bench. Pretty much same with the Jade Flask. Again, this is an incorrect roll. On the suffix it should be reduced freeze and chill, otherwise this can mess up our two unique rings we have here. So that's incorrectly rolled, but again it's one I just happen to have laying around. That was already done, so for the purposes of this test it might go a bit wonky, but that's there. The other reason for getting charges when you're a hit, even though we are stacking evasion, is because our final flask is a basalt flask for that 20% more armor. There's a lot of fizz damage in heist, and that is a kind of a big weakness for these characters, so a basalt flask does well. And that's got our ignite on there, and again that should be gain charges when hit, so we can use the use charges reach full setup. So that's the flask, that's the gear. No MTX on this character, so I'll skip that part. Let's go and have a look at the tree. As we are only level 68, we're not hitting Uberlab. We do not kill Katava, so we not killing Katava on these characters is still somewhat of a discussion within the heist community. Some people are saying that the 2 points are invaluable. Other people are saying it's just easier to resist cap without the further minuses to killing Act 10 Katava. Your personal choice. This one is done without the Katava kill, so if you do go for the Katava kill, just bearing in mind you'll gain 2 extra passive points to put somewhere, but your gearing is going to be a lot harder. At that point you may want to think about dropping the blasphemy and the enlighten, or dropping the blasphemy and possibly trying to fit in purity of elements somewhere. But that, and again, that would then screw up our unique ring interaction. So you basically destroy this variant of the build at that stage. Let's move on to the ascendancy points. We go for Quartz Infusion, Rapid Assault and Avatar of the Chase as pretty much standard on these characters. This is the finalised tree. I'll go through the POB in a moment so you can see how, when and where. The masteries, we've got Minor Reservation, Determination, Minor Reservation and Defiance Banner, Minor Reservation. We then take this for Corrupted Blood Immunity because we've got limited dual sockets. We take Dexterity's Accuracy bonus, grants accuracy per rating per dexterity. Poisons you inflict on non-poison enemies deal 300% increased damage. We come up here for the life gained on hit by enemy attacks. We come up to this one for life flasks gaining a charge every 3 seconds. Auras from skills have 15% increased effect on you. And then up here we got the chaos damage over time multiplier for chaos resistance, which is why you ideally need to get 75% chaos resist on this character. Easily done if you've got the currency and or access to the gear in League. It's going to be a lot easier to get that chaos resist. My chaos resist at the moment is a paltry 32%. As you can see, my cold resist is ridiculously overcapped, but again it just comes down to the gear and currency I have available in standard. The two jewels we have are Conqueror's Efficiency for the Minor Reservation of skills. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there, I apologise. And then the all important Golden Rule. It's not so much the bleed we're after, but the chaos resist per poison, and more importantly than that, the poison you inflict is reflected to you if you have fewer than 100 poisons on you. So we get that interaction there from a Golden Rule, which then means we are poisoned, so we are chilled, which then is reversed on to our enemies, and then poison enemies you kill with hits shatter. So it's all, the interaction all works out. Yes, that's pretty much the character done. I've already got a deception contract here and some rogue markers. Just check to make sure I'm on the right filter. Yep, I'm not going to use my standard heist filter for this, as this is just a test. So let's hit up the rogue marker. Also note that because this is standard, my rogues are all level, maxed out level, and the gear on them is quite redonkulous. And we'll be using Gianna for this, so her gear is quite redonkulous. As you can see, I spent quite a lot of time on this. It's not perfect, but it is quite good in my opinion. So the level 67 contract, these are the type of contracts you'll be running, level 68, 67s, 68s. So we get that open, come over here, pop those back in there, and off we go. Let's grab a drink. Okay, so the first thing I do while I'm still immune here, we've got a div card and an armor chest. We'll ignore the armor chest, we'll go for the small chests and the armor ones. So already there's the Despair Blasphemy coming in. Open the door, grab that, nothing. You'll see very little dropping from the chest because of my filter. Oh, chromes, I use so many chromes on this build. And again, we're not really, this is why my build, it differs somewhat to other versions of the build, because I kill very little on the way in. I kill the minimum to get the chests I want. I almost hit my Quicksilver there. Do not hit the Quicksilver on the way in, because theoretically you're not going to gain any charges when it's in use because of the Enkindling Orb enchant on there. The filter I'm using is very specific for what I want to do in standard. So please bear that in mind and don't think this is a bad contract to run or that nothing is dropping. It is a highly personalized filter. Right, there we go then. So we pop now, we use our Quicksilver flask and we are off. As soon as Withering Step comes off, we hit it again, and we are just running out. If I had the correct Quicksilver flask, I would have made that out on that second flask. There we go. Leveling up on this character doing this Endless Heist could be quite a chore. As you saw, we didn't get very much XP there, which is my personal preference, is why I don't like these higher level heist builds, because getting the Endless Heist strategy off can be quite an investment unless you've already got currency to invest in the character to buy contracts from trade. Let's just clear this down and then we will grab out the path of building on screen. Let me just go around to my favourite heist character for background, not for actual use in the game. There we go. Love a bit of Vindiri. Okay, let's drag the POB onto screen if I can find the right one. There it is. So this is the path of building for this level of character. As you can see, all the stuff is there for you to look through and read. This will be linked in the description below. I've done level ups here, so Act 1 and the level where you kind of should be, unless you're speed running or running in a party. These are the levels you should be, give or take 1 or 2 per act, and therefore the path of building is done. That is done with that in mind. If you're a bit below, you'll have to be wary. You may need to change where I've put the skill points to make the build work. If you're above, you just switch down to the next act until you get there. So we're on the build I've just showcased is a level 68. So for now, we'll just stick to that one. There's a path of building. And it goes into the acts. So in Act 1, for example, we focus on getting mana, life and ballistics, and then we start coming down here. Fast forward to Act 5, we're now getting our mana reservation, we've got some life. We take this for the elemental resist, so when we re-gear after Act 5 Katava, we've got an additional 4, I think it's 18% elemental resists that we're not having to worry about, which makes the gear a little bit easier. And then we're up for withering up there for the chaos resist again, just to make that easier, that chaos resist. At the end of Act 5 after killing Katava, you're looking at getting a 0% chaos resist, that's all. We also take this, so we've got our flask regeneration for our life flask. By this point you might also still be using a mana flask. I think it's Act 6 maybe you change to lifetime, I can't remember. We'll go through the skills in a moment. And then you're heading over here for determination. Then we'll fast forward a couple more acts to Act 8. We've got most of our mana reservation, we've got our determination, we've got the reservation cluster down here, we've got the reservation cluster down here, and we've also picked up our jewels, Conqueror's Efficiency and Golden Rule. Although there is pointless getting the Golden Rule until you can wear all the other uniques. In its place, I would suggest running an Assassin's Haste from the quest reward, because Assassin's Haste, there is one in here somewhere, there it is. Assassin's Haste gives you the mana regeneration, the attack speed and the movement speed. So until you've got the level 68, I wouldn't really worry about getting the Golden Rule, and I will update the POB to reflect that. And then finally from the Act 8 we'll just bump up to the Endless Heist version, and there we are. So on the skills here we've got several different setups. I still haven't figured out how to change colours, so apologies for that. Act 1 we're running a 3-link poison concoction with dash, withering step and herald of agony. We then go into Act 3 to 5 where we're hoping to get our 4 links round about Act 4-5. So you end up with greater multiple, greater volume life tap. We ditch Hogue Act 5 and do our Plague Bearer setup, and we start looking at getting our auras. We start with Purity of Elements, and you keep Purity of Elements until you switch to in the level of 68, and you can wear the 3 uniques, or earlier, depending on when you can get access to the 3 uniques. The belt is the last thing to get, and the belt does require you to be level 68 to wear, and that's where you'll get a massive damage boost. So I kind of firmly believe that until you get to Act 68, you should just wait and do rares, and then when you get to level 68, at that point you do a complete regear. You throw on all 4 of your uniques, because that way you don't have to keep switching gear for resist. Because if you put on the Maw of Conquest and the 2 unique rings, and you're wearing a belt that's got a ton of resists, you then get to level 68, you put on a Lesser's belt, and all of a sudden your resists are gone, and you have to invest even more currency to figure out your resists, because they'll be broken. It's far easier to get all 4 uniques on at the same time, and then get your golden rule, and then do a regear for resists cap, because it'll save you a lot of currency doing it that way. So Purity of Elements kind of stays on right the way through. I think I've taken it off in Act 6 to 10 here, but that is more the uniques. It depends when you want to put the 2 rings and the helm unique on. It depends when you switch out Purity of Elements. I don't suggest doing it until level 68, but if you want to do it sooner, like around about the Act 6 to 10 mark, then that is your choice. And then all we go down here to the Endless Heist setup. So we've got the Castle Enderman in our shield. We've got the full aura setup. I have put the Enlighten in there, but it may be that you don't have the currency to buy a level 3 Enlighten. So just try and get a level 1 and then throw GCPs at it to get the quality up and level it up yourself, or go for a bricked corrupt level 2 save currency. It depends on your currency and how fast you can generate the currency to get that Enlighten, or if you're lucky enough to drop one. But you do need 2 for the way this build is set up. You're then running the 6-link Poisonous Concoction. You got your second aura set up with the other Enlighten, and then you've got your Withering Step, Plague Bearer, increased area effect, and life tap here. And I'll make sure all the gems are leveled appropriately. I mean, at this point you are in the Endless Heist loop, so you can either level them up yourself, and then quality them up yourself from gems you find in Heist. Alternatively, you can just buy them from trade, although I'm not sure at what point they will be available at 2020s. I personally don't use corrupt gems. I'm a bit of a purist that way, but it doesn't stop you using them at all. On my heist filter, I always keep gems that are not like level 10% above gems, quality gems on my filter, so they drop. I can vendor them to GCPs and either use them myself or bulk sell them. So that's just thinking there. So that's the Endless Heist setup. Pantheon wise, we're looking for Lunaris for the physical damage reduction per enemy nearby and increased movement speed for each enemy nearby. We don't worry about, when looking at the Pantheon on these Endless Heist builds, you've got to bear in mind that you're only going to have the first part. You're not going to be able to enhance it until you do maps. This build, or Pixel Kick was saying that they just don't do maps. This is a complete heist character, and it never goes into maps, and therefore it doesn't kill Katava until we go into the blueprint farm switch. And then we take Ralakesh for the 25% reduced physical damage over time while moving, and bleeding doesn't cause you to take extra damage. You can get, so with the Arch Nemesis modifiers on rares, bleeding is an issue in Heist. In a blink of an eye you could go from 0 down to 10, up to 10 stacks and die, and you don't want that on the run out. So we use Solar Reliquage and an anti-bleed flask, just to make sure that that doesn't happen. The notes section here goes through very detailed of the strategy and when to do what and how to do it, based on the fact that this would be a League Start character. It doesn't have to be League Start. You can do this during the League to run Heist once you've got some currency to stick into it. And this can still work on a second or third character if you're not willing to invest in gems and stuff. But it's all there, all the links you need, the gems, the gem setup. So at the beginning of the act, you're looking for these links, and in the weapon swap, you do need other weapons to level up gems. And in here, we've got what your end of the act links will be, and it goes all the way down here. And then in Act 6 on a League Start version, you're going to complete Lilith's quest first. So as soon as you get off the boat into Act 6, you're going to talk to Lilith, and you're going to run down the stairs, run left, clear out the area, and then go back to town, hand in the quest to Lilith, so you can then start buying all your gems, and then re-gearing and rejigging. By this point, you should be looking at a minimum of 3 4-links, which is your helm, boots, gloves, and a 5-link body, which you may need to buy from trade if you're an SSF. Good luck. There is no reason why Act 6 you should not be on 4 links. If you don't get, if you're a person that gets to Act 6 and you're running 2 or 3 links, then I heavily suggest you subscribe to Baylor Mage's filters. I'll link that in the description. His filters are amazing, and he highlights 3 and 4 link drops on the ground, so by the time you're coming to Act 4, 5, you should have 4 links everywhere, and may not be on the right base, but links are better than bases. So if you get a 4 link that you need and you got a couple of chromes, you colour it. It doesn't matter what base is on for the campaign. It's softcore, whatever. Yeah, and then down here, then we've got items you'd buy, and buy the enlightens ×2, and that's when I say about leveling yourself, etc. Life flasks in this build, buy from the vendor. If you don't have them, then buy them from the vendor. If your life flask falls too low to the content you're doing, you will have problems. Poison Concoction takes a vast amount of damage from your life flasks, and we do run 2 life flasks all the way through until we get to about Act 8-ish, when you can then start really investing in your life flask. I would say 2 life flasks until you get your divine life flask. At that point you can run a hefty level 61 plus divine life flask, which then replaces your 2 hallowed life flasks you should have, and then you upgrade from a divine life flask to eternal life flask as soon as they start dropping and you got the levels. And then here at the level 68 you can buy all the uniques. All of these uniques, Golden Rule, Maw of Conquest, Winterweave, Icefang, are 1C. In Sentinel League I've done Peony Ninja checks. Alessa's Delight is a bit odd. It does bounce quite erratically. I would say it's between 1 and 15C. I didn't see it go up there. Really well rolled ones can go for an X. So just depends on the league and how many are available. So that's the POB. I've also included here, once you've done with the Endless Heist and you're ready to move on to blueprint farming, the level 75 and then all the way up to level 90, where there's a slight respec. You drop some points here and come up here and down here. Other than that, the tree is pretty much the same. It's just adding points until the level 90. And then skill wise, in the level 90 Blue Point Farmer, we're assuming you've got a ton of currency. So at this point, you'll start looking at alternate qualities and woke gems, again depending on how much currency you want to sink in here, and the availability of said gems. You may even find the alt quality gems yourself in your blueprints you're farming, but they're all in there as well. We also at this stage switch out haste. We drop haste and go for a malevolence aura. Everything else stays the same. That is the 1 gem change, and then also if I switch over to here, bop, we need a Watcher's Eye, because we then go for a Devoto's Devotion with increased despair effect, assuming you've got it linked up to a Blasphemy, because that provides a stupid amount of DPS. But then before you take off the more of Conquest, why have I taken the rings out? I'll have to change that. Put in the unique magazines. I got carried away. That threw me for a while. I'll rejig this before I share it down below. So before you put on your Devoto's Devotion and remove your Maw of Conquest, you must buy a Watcher's Eye with unaffected by poison while affected by malevolence, and ideally an increased movement speed while affected by grace, and then divine it to get max life and max mana, just to make it a little bit easier on yourself. A recent trade search just before I started this video, in Sentinel League here, you can see Sentinel movement speed increased by grace, unaffected by poison while affected by malevolence, 1x, 1x, 2x, possibly because it's got the clarity roll, and 2x, 6x possibly because the evade attacks while grace, which is really nice, triple 1. So again, they're not that frequent, but they're also not that expensive as of the recording of this video, so you should be able to pick one quite easily if you're thinking of running this build. So that's that. Notes for the level 90 beat. There's no additional notes here. It's just on the beat. If you're going to run the Blue Point version, just look out for the Divergent Malevolence. Other than that, it's exactly the same. We always run the kill 2 bandits. You may want to take a Lyra, but that then requires you to re-roll. When you go to the Blue Point Farmer option, you've got to have the 2 extra passive points, so you might as well just take them in the beginning. Our Pantheon doesn't change, and at some point you will need to kill Katava to go and get your Uber, or buy an Uber Goddess thingy and run Uber Lab to pick up your way of Poacher Ascendancy. It's probably going to be easier to kill at 10 Katava for your final gear setup because of resists and the extra couple of points. That's the video. I don't have any blue points to run on the character because I'm not high enough level and I'm not going to be investing anything else. My profile is open for you to look at characters, and I'll leave this character equipped and is for the next 24 hours, as at the time this video goes live. After that, it will be stripped down and deleted, so don't be surprised if you can't find it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Good luck in Heist, good luck in Sentinel, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.